And today we want to share these incredible women with our audience. And I have Lisa Elder, our Director of People and Talent. Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you for having me. Really excited to spend some time chatting with you, Gabrielle. And it's funny because when we first met, it was similar, like through like an interview. So it's funny, like full circle, to be doing this with you today.
Yeah, and so I was wondering if you can share with us and stuff like what drew you to hashtag paid? What was it about this opportunity and the things that you were looking for in yourself that
Mm.
brought you together for this opportunity?
Yeah, so I worked in HR in the retail and CPG space, and I was always curious about the tech space. And I came from a space that did not have a lot of resources, and tech is renowned for having so many resources. And I was really curious to see the practice of like people happiness, which is essentially what HR is, and seeing how that could apply to the tech space. And was really excited to join hashtag paid and the mission, and that's what brought me here.
Oh, I love that. And we're so lucky to have you because I really, like as you're saying, like from the get-go, from our first meeting and stuff, like I felt like I understood our values. Understood your values. I understood what we were trying to accomplish here like immediately. And that's so hard sometimes when you're going through an intermediary like Zoom, like a Google Meet and stuff. And especially in tech where like people are innovating left, right, and center and stuff, like what then is this experience that like I'm walking into? So I'm like so grateful for all the experience that you bring to this environment and stuff and what you led with when you first introduced me into like your world.
Yeah, and I feel like talking in these like little squares is just different, and we have to be more willing to kind of draw out the weirdness in everybody and get to the essence of who we are and what our values are. So happy that that was your experience, and I'm sure you're doing that for other people who are now joining hashtag paid.
Yeah. Yeah. So switching gears, I I feel like when I was in school, I was introduced to the idea kind of allyship and stuff as almost like this box that was like the end of the page and stuff. It was always kind of like an activity that we talked about, but I never really got to see it as I was never introduced to it like as a lesson. So I was wondering stuff like what does allyship mean to you?
Yeah, so that really resonates with me. I think, talking about allyship in terms of a checklist and something that you're supposed to do or accomplish. And it makes me think of, in conversations that I've had in the past about talking about inclusion, you often hear things like, where does it end? If we do this, then what? And I think
Yeah.
that's when we're missing the point. Inclusion or allyship are actions, but what you're really trying to get at is inclusion and belonging, and always widening that umbrella so that everybody feels heard and seen and included in everything that's happening.
No, I totally agree. It's it's funny, right? And stuff like I wonder sometimes is like, oh, like would I have wished and stuff that I learned about like earlier and stuff like is there another way to like introduce it and stuff? But it's almost like I feel like there's parallels to the idea of like being introduced to like what's in your diet and stuff, like how are you fueling your body and stuff. Like we don't often think of it as like, oh yes, like this is just what I eat in a day today. This is what I eat in a week and stuff. We think about like what is my diet and stuff that fuels like my life? What are the things I put into my body and stuff that allows me to do the things and be the person stuff that I want to be like in the long run?
Totally. And it's like you eat to be healthy, and allyship is you do to for the purpose of inclusion. And yeah, love that example.
Yeah. Going back to again about like the way that were taught about things. Like I
Mhm.
feel like the way that I was introduced to like planning and like navigating like professional trajectory was all about like setting your mind and looking ahead of like okay, what are the pathways and like what are the bridges ahead? And I was never really introduced to the ideas of like okay, when you're plotting your path forward and stuff like what are the obstacles that I should be considering like as well. So what do you think is the most significant barrier to female leadership?
The most significant barrier to female leadership, I feel like, is belief, put most simply, and belief in the early years. I think that when we think about the barrier to leadership, our minds just go to a pool of candidates in a final round of interviews and wondering why there are fewer females than men in those final interviews, and that's too late. And I think that when we talk about barriers to leadership, we need to think about early careers and how we're setting people up for those careers, and how we're measuring performance, and asking the right questions. And by guiding people early on is what will set people up long term.
Now, Lisa, you've built such an incredible career for yourself, and you've had a hand in building so many great careers and for so many other like excellent women. Knowing what you know now, what is one piece of advice you'd like to share with your younger self?
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. Always love seeing the careers of people around me kind of thrive. What would I tell my younger self? I think that something that I've learned over the years, so to speak, is like that you can overcome anything. You can overcome any challenge, any obstacle, but in order to do that, you need to have the right mindset. And in order to have the right mindset, you have to take care of your health. And what I would tell my younger self is nothing is more important than my mental health and well-being, and to prioritize the practices that then set me up to overcome some of these big challenges that we'll inevitably face. And I don't know, my biggest goal or aspiration as a leader is to try to create space for other people to do that in meaningful ways for them as well.
No, I totally agree. And reflecting even on my first 90 days back and stuff, I think you're so right. And the importance of protecting that mindset to really be able to not lose sight of those goals, those motivations, and who can help you. Because
Mm-hmm.
I feel especially as in the industry that we're in and stuff, and being women and stuff, we're often, presented with a lot of unforeseen challenges that we didn't quite expect, right? They're not always taught in textbooks and stuff. They're not obvious. There's these subtle challenges that kind of come out and stuff in the ways that can surprise you. And I think you're totally right in that resilient mindset, having tactics and stuff that help bond you to other women and stuff, and finding community is such an important tool as we forge forward. No,
Totally.
that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you so much, Lisa and Steph, for sharing your learnings with us, sharing this time with us. I'm so grateful and stuff getting to connect with you, because really I feel every time we talk and stuff, I'm always inspired by what you say, and I always can take away, the lessons that you give me to not just do my job better stuff, but lead myself better. So thank you, Lisa.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for saying that. Always inspired by you as well, and always enjoy our conversations.
Yeah. Any other thoughts that you would like to leave with our listeners today?
Any other thoughts? I feel like just surround yourself with people that you share similar values with, because those are the people that will carry you through the tough days and make the wins so much sweeter. So surround yourself with people, especially early in your career, that you really connect with and can build something great with.